Hi everyone, today we're going to use ChatGPT's API, Application Programming Interface, and we're going to use it with JavaScript, which is an easy language to use. So there's no need for a server, you just need a web browser to execute the JavaScript. And I'll show you the goal of where we're headed, and that is to come up with a solution where you can highlight a word on a web page or an acronym on a web page and have ChatGPT return with the words that are the meaning of the acronym. So here's an example of what it looks like when it's done. I'll share my screen. Let's see. So we have here a web page from Reddit, and it's based on SaaS stuff, but you might not understand some of these acronyms like that. So the way this thing works is you highlight the word on a page, and then I've set it up as a bookmarklet, meaning a bookmark that runs some JavaScript. And the JavaScript takes the highlighted word, sends it off to ChatGPT with a prompt that says, what does this word mean? Fill it in and replace, and the JavaScript will replace on the web page the acronym with its meaning. So I click on it, give it a second, and it means monthly recurring revenue. Or let's say, I don't know what this means, highlight it, click on it, and that's what it means. So that's the plan, and we just want to build this bookmarklet, which is a button with some JavaScript behind it. So I'll delete it just so we can start over and build it from scratch. So to help with this, I've written a blog article that I'm going to put in the notes below this video on YouTube. So in the description, you'll see the link to this blog article, which is this URL here. And basically, we start off by suggesting, so there's a even shorter, quick video overview. But we start by bookmarking a random website. So I suggested this one, isitchristmas.com. It's a very simple website. And to bookmark it, there's usually a star or a flag or bookmark icon, depending on your browser. For my browser, I just drag it and then I'll let go right here. And then that's my new bookmark. So if I click on it, it's going to always go to this web page. So most people aren't aware that you don't have to have just HTTPS in front of your URL. There's other variations. So one you might have seen is mail to, and then you have an email address after that. Another you might have seen is tel for telephone, and then you got a phone number after that. If you tap on it, it phones. Well, one of these options is actually JavaScript. And then after the colon, you type a little bit of JavaScript. And then if I hit enter, the browser will actually execute this. It knows it's not an email, it's not a URL. It'll run the JavaScript. So here we go. So it popped up, it's still on this web page, and it said the answer, this web page popped up this number 5. So because I can do that, I can actually edit my URL here, or my bookmark, and I can change it. So I put the JavaScript in the URL. So here's editing it. And instead of that URL, I'm going to do the same thing. Alert, I'll just do 2 + 2 in this case. And then I'll make this a little bit shorter. And so the idea is you're curious, you don't know what something means, you click on the bookmark and it'll execute some JavaScript. Now, why are we starting with this? Just to keep it simple. If there are problems, we want to debug something simpler than a long, API call or whatever. So if you run into problems, now's the time to try to debug them while it's still simple. So save this. Now, wherever I am, whichever web page I'm on, I can now click on this and it should pop up the JavaScript. So I've gotten this button to now execute some JavaScript code. That means I can now give a full-fledged chunk of JavaScript in that little spot, and then it can actually go and call an API from OpenAI and get some answers from an AI chatbot. So going back to my blog, so we did this, we did that, we did this, and we popped up the number 4. So the next step is we need to go and get an API key, meaning basically a billing code. So you remember when you go to the photocopier in an office, you have a code, and then any photocopies you make are billed to that code, and there's one credit card for the whole office. So that's what an API key is. It's a number, and you have many of them that are all tied to the same credit card. The problem is that's kind of a deal breaker for a lot of people. You don't want to pull out a credit card and sign up for some service. And that's the case with OpenAI. They will give you some free time. They'll give you 3 months or $17, I think, whichever comes first. But after that, they will start billing you. And to sign up for that in the first place, even though it's free, you have to provide a credit card. However, I found another service called Eden AI that lets you sign up. It gives you all of $1 as a free credit, but it doesn't require a credit card. So we're going to use that. And surprisingly, the $1 will kind of last a long time. This stuff costs like a fraction of a cent. So you'll have it for quite a while before you run out of that $1. So to get a API key from Eden AI, and it works with OpenAI, you go to their website right here. And registering is done through this sign-in process, but it's a different button. Okay, I guess I was already signed in. Let me sign out real quick. So sign up, that's the registration. It's pretty straightforward. You tell it what you want to use it for. It doesn't ask you for a credit card. It does ask you for an email address, and you have to validate the email address. Once you're done, you can sign in. I use Google as my sign-in. So we'll start out. And as soon as you sign in, you'll get redirected to your dashboard. And the dashboard will have, under AI technologies, your API key hidden here, but you can look at it. You can create new ones. You can copy it. So I'm going to copy this, and I'll put it somewhere in a text editor so I can keep track of it later on. So there it is. So we have our API key. We've copied it to the clipboard. And so we're done with this. Yeah, we're done with this thing too. So back to the blog article. We have the API key now. We went through the screenshot. Next step is to incorporate that new API key into a chunk of JavaScript that will contact ChatGPT and get an answer. So the JavaScript is in this orange box, and it's got a placeholder for the API key. And if you paste your API key in here, some code will pre-fill it into that thing right there. And then the rest of the code spills off to the right. So it's actually pretty long. It's a page worth of code. It's not hugely long, but you can see where it's going. You know, it's going to pass this prompt to ChatGPT, and then it's going to use this API key that, even though we got it from Eden AI, it still works with OpenAI. It's kind of like a gym membership across town. You can use all the different gyms. So Eden AI, you can use its API key for all the different chatbots. All right, so as soon as I paste my API key, my new one from Eden AI here, paste, you'll notice it got filled into the code here. And so now I can copy this whole code, which includes my new API key. So I'll click on copy. And now I'm ready to update my bookmark. So it doesn't really matter where I am. If I edit this bookmark, I can delete this simple JavaScript and replace it with the more complicated one I just created. So I'm on the far right, but if I go to the far left, there's the API key. So I'll save it. It's ready to go. So it's been updated. If I go back to that Reddit article, let me refresh it to go back to the original. So now if I highlight this and click on that button, it should work. And I didn't try this one. Let me try that one. So direct message. So that works. And then the cool thing about this script is that it's pretty flexible. So I have my API key. Here's the actual script. Turn on word wrap. So it's not too big. That's the whole thing. That's all the JavaScript you need. And you can tell that this is the prompt that's getting passed through. There is kind of a placeholder for the word. And the way this works is the code, the JavaScript code, figures out what you've highlighted on the web page, and it builds a prompt around it. And it passes along the context of 300 characters to the left and 300 characters to the right. And that's this variable right here. So you could change that to be a larger chunk of context and it would be more accurate. It would cost just a teeny bit more, but you could do that. You can also change this prompt. So instead of, spelling out an acronym, you could ask it to change the highlighted word into French or from French to English, or you could say, I've highlighted a stock ticker, give me a paragraph about the company in question, pretty much anything. So it's very flexible. And that's it. So if you like this, please feel free to share it or retweet or put it on LinkedIn. And if you have any questions or comments, you could put them at the bottom of the article. There's a section for comments down here. Likewise, you can also put the comments if you do end up using this. I'd love to hear what your use case is and put it in the YouTube comments. That's it. I hope you enjoy it and happy programming.